Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you're listening to, you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for a bonus episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to my guests, Mike Wengren and Dan Donegan from Disturbed, I want to remind you about the upcoming Mistress Carrie Grunge Brunch happening at City Winery Boston on Saturday, March 22nd. Doors open at 11, and music starts at noon from the Stone Temple Posers, who will be covering the Stone Temple Pilots Unplugged set. Tickets are still available, so day drinking, food, and acoustic Stone Temple Pilots this Saturday at City Winery Boston. Go to the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com for the link to get your tickets. The guys from Disturbed were in Boston on Friday, March 14th for a sold-out show at the TD Garden for the Sickness 25th anniversary tour with 3 Days Grace and Sevendust. Disturbed are celebrating the band's 25th anniversary, playing 2 sets, including their entire debut album and a second set of the hits, including their brand new single, I Will Not Break, from their upcoming new album. I sat down backstage with Mike Wengren and Dan Donegan from the band to talk sports, the history of the band, and their love of the city of Boston. So allow me to introduce you to Dan Donegan and Mike Wengren from Disturbed. So I am across the hall from the Bruins locker room at the TD Garden with Mike and Dan from Disturbed, a sold-out Sickness 25th anniversary tour. What the hell is going on right now?
Can I say I'm shitting my pants?
Yes!
Okay,
That's
yes,
crazy.
I'm shitting my pants. It's ridiculous.
First show to sell out on this tour.
I watched because if it wasn't, I was going to be pissed. Right. And it was because you guys know how loved you are here.
The Boston Disturbed ones are always there for us. So awesome.
This is a second home for us. We have so many extended family and friends here. As big sports fans as we are, the history of the Celtics and the Bruins. I mean, this is ridiculous to be in this building right now.
We've had a lot of conversations over the years because I think Chicago and Boston are very similar in a lot of ways. Blue-collar towns, big sports towns, big rock and roll cities.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to try and burn these banners, too. Not really.
No.
There's a lot to talk about when you put a show like this together. I had Lejean from Sevendust on the show, and he talked about how grateful they were, his words, they came back and got us. Mm-hmm. To talk about Disturbed, 3 Days Grace, Sevendust, and the way you guys all came up together,
Yep.
I'm kind of emotional, not going to lie, seeing you guys underneath those banners on this stage tonight, sold out garden show, considering I've seen you in every sized venue in every state in New England in the last...
You trying to make us cry?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
Look, if you want to cry, go ahead, because I'm probably going to tonight. At least I won't be the only one.
Yeah, he and I, Danny and I get pretty emotional.
Yeah.
And this whole run has been emotional as we're celebrating 25 years and going into all these sold out venues. Again, the iconic venues. I mean, this is a long way for us since the Middle East.
Yeah.
I mean, 2000 at the Middle East. This is crazy. I mean,
and no disrespect to the Middle East, because every rock band that has made it in the last 40 years, the path is paved through the Middle East.
Nice.
But we remember that. I mean, we remember all the places we've been here.
Talking about that earlier today. Yeah, it's just crazy how 25 years like that coming from there to this. Pretty overwhelming.
I talked to Jerry Horton from Papa Roach because they're celebrating their 25th this year as well. And I said, okay, there's two things. Number one, 25 years from the date of your first release is technically the definition of classic rock.
Yeah, right.
And you're also eligible next year for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And as soon as I said that, Jerry Horton goes, yeah, you're looking at me.
Yeah, right.
You hadn't realized that?
No, definitely not. No.
That's the qualification for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction is 25 years from the date of your first release.
Okay. Well,
and so Jerry goes, can you please stop talking? Like he can't, he's like, I can't wrap my head around it. He goes, I remember like writing, in his case, Last Resort.
Yep.
Talk to me about what you remember about the writing and recording of The Sickness that you look back at now and you're like, I can't, like, we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah,
we were living the dream. Are you kidding me? Like, we were just a bunch of kids, and we just got a record deal, and we're in the studio recording a record, and we didn't. I mean, it was like it was the most amazing thing ever. It was Thanksgiving, actually, American Thanksgiving. We were, not home with our families. We were in the studio recording. There was like a deadline, and it just we were loving every second of it. We were in I don't know. It's like 25 years later.
Yeah.
I
mean, nothing changed from the demos to the album other than just better performances, So when we first wrote those songs, it was just us up in a loft that we had in Chicago. And when David came in, in August of '96, it was just us improvising, trying to find our way. We all had our influences. We all had some of those old school, metal backgrounds from Sabbath, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Pantera, all of that. But then we had other influences as well, and we didn't really talk about like the direction we were going. We just play the way we play, our background, and we just start improvising. I just play a riff, Mike would play a beat. We just start working on a riff, Dave would improvise on that, and our sound just kind of found its way. And then when we did those demos, they were pretty much the same as what the version you hear on the Sickness on the album. So when we went in, like Mike said, it was just like we didn't know it was going to be. We just did it for us. That's the way you got to do it. You don't sit there and chase something and try to think like. At the time, we couldn't base it off of what Chicago radio was because they didn't really have a station that really supported us in the beginning. So and we weren't chasing that anyway. So we were just writing songs for us, and it just kind of. Luckily, people latched onto it. They found something that they connected with.
Well, what I love, and I talked to the 3 Days Grace guys about it. I talked to LJ from Sevendust about it the other day. Being on the radio at that time when the, quote, new metal, like that era started, for lack of a better term, there was the fans that loved it, and then there were the haters that didn't get it. And this tour... and the success and the longevity of, you name the band, Linkin Park, Deftones, Korn, System of a Down, Rage Against the Machine, that are bigger now than they've ever been, you guys included 25 years later. Obviously, the haters and critics were wrong and we were right.
I don't really care about the haters. It doesn't matter to me. I never let that bother me. I mean, we've had enough haters along the way, and
haven't we all?
Don't care. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. Who cares?
Somebody told me that if people aren't talking shit about you, you're not doing a good enough job.
Well, everybody they hate the big band. Everybody they hate on Nickelback or Creed or whatever. But look at Creed. They're on top of the world again, right? They're killing it. And you're always going to get that when you're dominating. Like you said, when you're getting big like that, then all of a sudden, I think there's something about it with some of those hardcore early fans that feel like you were theirs in the beginning, and now they don't want to share you with the rest of the world, and they're like they want to hold on to you in those club days, and all of a sudden those bands get bigger and they're packing and selling out arenas, and then they start hating on them for it.
And then there were the diehard grunge fans that when music started to get more angry, they didn't understand why people were so pissed, or what a cathartic thing it was for us fans to be able to go to the shows and be in a room full of people with that music.
I mean, we never cared about what we were categorized as either. We didn't write. New metal, yeah, we came out around the same time, but we'd never had a DJ or a crazy down-tuned guitars. So, it never mattered to us. We were just happy to be out and playing.
You guys just reissued The Sickness, And on this tour, you're doing 2 sets where you're playing the entire first album, and then you're taking a break and then coming back out and playing all the hits. What song off The Sickness are you having the most fun playing that maybe you didn't even play on the first tour? Like a deep album cut?
Well, for me as the drummer, selfishly, Dropping Plates, just because it's a little more of a challenging song. It's just a fun groove to play.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe for me, probably maybe like Violence Fetish or something, because it's one that we haven't played in so long. You know, well, a lot of these we haven't played in a while, but that was definitely one that's been left off for a long time. You know, so it's kind of nice to. It's nice to revisit all these songs and to play them from start to finish. It's been pretty exciting, you know, because it is kind of bringing me back to the 25 years ago or more than 25 years ago when we wrote them, and it kind of puts you back in that headspace. Even Mike mentioned in Dropping Plates, I remember coming into the rehearsal room back in the 90s and we're just warming up. Mike's playing that beat with those China cymbals and that kind of Vinnie Paul kind of feel to it, and I'm like, dude, just keep playing that, you know, and just wrote a riff around that, you know, and it feels like yesterday, you know, now that we're doing it and we're talking about it, I'll never forget those moments.
You guys went to a whole other level with The Sound of Silence. Like when figure skaters at the Olympics are skating to Disturbed, you're on a whole other level. Where is the weirdest place you have bumped into your own music? Because it's got to be... Have you made it to supermarket spins yet? Because Disturbed went from like being a rock band to like being the biggest band on the planet that even people's grandmothers knew that cover.
I haven't heard it in a elevator, doctor's office, or grocery store just yet.
Oh, so
we got a ways to go yet.
When those royalties checks start coming, you know you made it.
Well,
exactly.
Well, Paul Simon would know we made it because we don't get nothing for that.
Have you gotten feedback? Have you gotten a thank you note or a fruit basket?
Originally, no fruit basket, right? Come on, Paul. Send us something. Give us some love here. You know?
I thought David said that Paul reached out to him and thanked him for the success of our version of his song because now he was able to retire and buy a place in Maui. I thought David said that at one point.
I hope you get to visit Maui.
Well, I'm still in Chicago, so I'm not in there. I didn't get those royalty checks that he got.
I'm not doing my job if I don't demand that you give me all of the secret information about the new record. So obviously the new single, I've read articles, Dan, where you were talking about how you wanted to have the new single be an old school sound. Mission accomplished, by the way. Like it is that old school Disturbed vibe.
Yeah, we were out in LA in the spring or in the fall, last fall, and just started getting the ideas out, and just we had an album's worth of material already done, and me and Mike and Drew, our producer, were sitting in the room, and you know, I like to keep going. Once the ball's rolling, you know, I don't like to quit. You know, I don't like to stop because I always feel like the excitement's there. You know, you got something new, so I keep writing, and David's trying to play catch up, you know, because he's got to write a lot of these lyrics to these songs. So a lot of times he wants us to stop because we're getting too far ahead of him, you know. And one day I was in the studio and I'm just like, I'm just kind of, I was already digging back into old demos that I had at home, old cassette tapes that we had in the 90s. As we're going through the, you know, the vault of things.
The hard part's finding a cassette player to play them on now.
I had to buy one on eBay.
Yeah, me
I really
too.
did. Yeah. So I wanted to go back and just kind of get back in that headspace of see, you know, some of those recordings were just actually just hitting a record button and putting a little cassette player in the back of the room. So it's the worst quality ever. But I wanted to hear some of those improvised tapes and get in that headspace of where we were back then. And even though I Will Not Break is a brand new riff, it kind of just had that vibe. So I was supposed to be tracking guitars in the studio for something else that day, and I'm like, let's just put that on the back burner and just feel like doing something new, you know. And we just start messing around a bit, and I'm just playing around with this riff, and for a while, I changed the riff probably 50 times as we're sitting there. And I think when the riff finally came about, I think me, Mike, and Drew just looked at each other and we're like, that's it. That's the one. Go with that. Oh yeah, that's the working title. Is Cake Bread is one of the wines we have backstage here. But we were having that in the studio that night. we opened up a bottle of wine and started improvising. So the working title for the song was called Cake Bread.
He's riffing out, and he likes to we'll loop some beats for him, and he just sits there and he can riff for hours sometimes. Sometimes something comes out in 5 minutes, sometimes comes out 5 hours. It had been going around. I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting in the back of the room. I DoorDash some wine. Yeah. The best that the store had on DoorDash was cake bread. So the guy shows up. I crack open the wine. Within 5 minutes of pouring the glasses for everybody, that riff for on that break came out. So,
wine seems so highfalutin for Disturbed songwriting. Do you have your pinkies out? It's so fancy.
Always pinkies up. Always pinkies up.
So we know that there's a record coming. You know no one is listening, and I'm not going to tell anybody. So just tell me when we're going to get it. Just tell me everything.
We were just...
The label won't be mad at all, I promise.
We really don't know. We 10 minutes before you walked in the room, we were just talking with our manager, too. Our main focus has been this 25th anniversary tour. That we do have a lot of stuff recorded. And obviously with the first single out, there hasn't really been much talk about the release yet, just because we're so focused on these tours. It's hard to think about it when we're selling out the Garden and all these other places. We're just riding this wave, and we're on a high right now that there hasn't been any deep discussion just yet of if it's coming out this year or next year. We still got to strategize that.
Well, I'm on the air all over New England, and there's people from all over New England here tonight. So I want to hear, even though you're not Boston sports fans, I want to hear your reaction walking into the Garden today. Sound check, load in, like what you walk in to the building.
Okay, I'm going to say I never said I'm not a Boston fan. I've been a Patriots fan for many years.
That I know about.
I've come here a lot in my off time. I've flown out to games at Gillette and seen a number of games here. Yeah, I was a diehard Brady fan, and our dog's name is Brady. So and it's his birthday today too. My dog's birthday today. But anyways, go ahead.
No, it's just, like, you don't have to be anti-Boston, but Chicago has a pride. Yeah. It's a town like Boston where you're born into the sports, but when you walk into a venue like the Garden or Wrigley or wherever, what? Got
my Larry Bird jersey.
Yeah, you do. Are you wearing that tonight?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to wear it for a song.
Now, listen, we're Chicago guys, yes, and we're huge sports fans, and there are certain rivalries, but because we're like historic sports fans. I mean, for me being a hockey fan, yes, of course I'm a diehard Blackhawks fan, but we're not playing the Bruins tonight. So I walking into this building and looking up at the banners, and first of all, I'm sorry about Marshy.
Okay, listen, I can't even. I am on the verge of tears that the Rat is gone out of Boston right now, that I need to be held. I am so sad.
I saw the video of him in warm-ups in this building in a Panthers jersey and almost lost.
I want to jump off the roof of the Garden onto the highway right now, just talking about it.
Can't believe it. Yeah, it's crazy. But, again, Original Six, are you kidding me? This is amazing being in this building. It's just, bowing down, nothing but love and respect. And, I mean, honestly, I feel like Boston's a second home for me. So for tonight, I can say, yeah, go Bruins and go Celtics and go Boston. Man, we love it here.
Larry Bird is on my Mount Rushmore. I mean, he's one of the greatest. And I've always said that. It's too bad my dad passed away back in September, because he would have loved to have known that we sold out this room. He's a big basketball fan and a big Larry Bird fan. But yep, that's why I had to have my jersey tonight.
Have you seen the Celtics docuseries that's on HBO Max yet? It's called Celtic City, but it just started last week, and it's about the history of the team.
Okay, cool.
So as fans of the game, you'll love it.
Awesome.
Well, I am so freaking sentimental and in a weird way proud. I hope you don't think that sounds weird, but we've gone through so much over the last 25 years together. To see you guys on that stage tonight, and I know you guys always take a band picture together on the stage.
Yep.
I can't wait to see this one tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can't wait to take it.
There they are, Mike Wengren and Dan Donegan from Disturbed, out on the Sickness 25th anniversary tour. The first leg features 3 Days Grace and Sevendust. Leg number 2 features Nothing More and Daughtry. You can check out Mike Wengren's first appearance on the Mistress Carrie podcast and my interview with David Draiman from Disturbed. They're linked in the show notes of this episode, along with this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast. that features all of my guest music and all the songs and artists that we referenced in the interview. You'll also find all of Mike's links, Dan's links, the Disturbed links, and of course, the Mistress Carrie links. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, comment, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday, plus every weekday you get the Sit Rep. The Situation Report breaks down all of your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in about 5 minutes. And you never know when we're going to release a bonus episode. Join me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern for my weekly streaming video show, Cocktails in the War Room. And you can always find me on the radio. Get the links to all of that and more at MistressCarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.